already. I'm pulling now.
All right, I should be recording now.
All right, I'll go ahead and get started then. So this is our BWL guide walkthrough. We're going to start off with Razor Gore. He's the first boss in BWL. So just a quick overview. We're going to enter the room and go left before we even start. I'll show you guys on the VOD here in a second. We're going to full consume there. We're going to full buff. And then we're going to start our BWL clear. When we first go up, when we first start the encounter, there's 3 ads. In the gear that we're currently in, we don't want to cleave. There's a chance that one of them, if he doesn't die quickly enough, he does an MC. And then if we're cleaving, obviously you guys can figure that out. We're gonna kill our homie. As we get more gear, we're just gonna zug that bitch down, and we're gonna AOE it. But for this first clear too, we won't. After that, you're going to get to your assigned corner. I'll explain that here in a second. We will have 1 or 2 people controlling the orb. For this first clear, we're going to have Icy doing the orbs. We will need a backup. We're figuring out who that is. So for all of you in Discord, if you've done the orb before and you are a healer, message me on Discord now, just so I know. I've already had 1 reach out. And then once we're getting down to the last couple orbs, I believe it's the last 3, we'll typically transition it off of Icy, we'll go to the OT, in this case SCAD. SCAD will then take over, pop the last 3, and then phase 2 starts. So when phase 2 starts, it's going to be a little hectic in the room. There's going to be a handful of ads that are still attacking us, but when phase 2 starts, they should all run away. We may need to cleave 1 or 2 of them down still, it's fine. But the big thing is all of the melee will FAP when the last egg is broken and phase 2 starts. The MT skyrockets. So in this case, it's going to be SCAD because SCAD is the one that is controlling the orbs. He'll shoot up to 500k threat. The thing is, you want to stay below the OT, which in this case would then be Oscar. So Oscar would be OTing this fight. So you want to stay below the OT because the boss conflag, so just works like any other conflag. And then you want to stay below the OT so you don't die. So right now we're thinking no CDs for this boss because we want to have them up for Veil. If we decide that we're going to log out for a minute or 2, we'll tell you guys before the run starts. It's either going to be 1 of the 2 because we want to have full CDs for Veil. And then just for a quick visual, so this is the room where we enter. We come in through the entrance. I got a lot of sick paint visuals for you guys. I worked really hard on these. So you come into the entrance, and then you go left to where this green box is, and that's where we buff up. We start, we kill these 3 ads, and then we get to your assigned corners. So northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. So you're going to see these names on the assignment sheet once that's created. Orb is down here right below, it's right up top, but the people can click it from down below. The big deal here is whoever's assigned to northwest and southwest, it's very important that you don't let any of the ads touch the person on the orb, because whoever's controlling the orb, in this case Icy, if he gets meleeed by an ad, he gets kicked out of the orb, meaning the boss becomes he's not mind controlled anymore, and he's going to run at Icy. And so we need somebody else then to take over the orb until Icy can then take it back over. So it's very important that we are not letting the ads make contact with them. So real quick, I'm just going to bring up Ahmpy's VOD.
You just kill it and move on. It should take
And
15
then
seconds.
you're going to see they're in the
Okay,
initial
ready?
hallway.
Unboot.
They're about to go to the left
Everybody
here
in.
to where they start.
Group
Here, I'll rewind it.
Group
They're going
3
over to the
is
left.
going east.
I'm going to mute this. And then they're going to buff up here. They're going to unboon. Those are the 3 ads at the very top. They're about to run in here. He's going to immediately go and click on the orb here. So right here, he's doing it from below, and then they're going to zug these 3, and then the fight starts. So he's doing the orb. I'm going to skip through this now. They're going to go to their assigned corners. For the healers and the ranged, you will most likely be assigned to the middle, but you're floating in between the groups. We will most likely have maybe 1 or 2 healers, designated to one side. But for the most part, the rest of us will just kind of float and kill the ads and help where it's needed. So skipping through here, ads don't spawn right away. If you notice on his DBM, it says 10 seconds. Now it's coming to the middle of the screen. So you have a second. In case you missed any consumes, it's a great time to get any last minute stuff. Ads spawn in and the fight starts. There are 3 different ads. There's the big Drakes, which is right here. That's Talon Dragon spawns. Those are the last prio. And then there are two other ones. Let's see if I can get a good POV of one. Um, see, there's a caster right here, Blackwing Legionnaire. He's a melee mob. He's the second prio, and then it is the caster that's the first prio. And we want to, like us mages, make sure you're throwing out CSs. You warriors, rogues, make sure you're interrupting. We don't want them to get casts off. Pretty straightforward stuff though. And then I'm going to skip here towards the end. This encounter will last maybe 5 or 6 minutes. He's got to pop 30 eggs in total before phase 2, and all we're doing is ad management. Very straightforward. And so when we get towards the end here, I will make a call, no more 3-minute cooldowns, because if we do decide to use them on Razorgore, you need to make sure they're up. Otherwise, we'll just save them for Veil. Fast forwarding here, since he is the only person doing the dragon, he doesn't have to like drop it for anyone else. So he's gonna take these last few eggs, and you see this first one that's right in front of him. This is always the last egg that gets popped. This is in anyone's clear BWL. So he's coming over here. The rest of the group is now repositioning. They should be coming towards the middle. He's popping this egg. In fact, there it is. Boss comes out, and now everyone's on boss stage 2. The rest of the ads will leave. So pretty straightforward stuff. If you notice his threat meter, he's at 450k threat. So no one's ever going to catch him, right? You just need to stay behind the tank. Easy as that. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. We're going to move on from Razorgore. All right, so undo this. Coming out of Razorgore, we're going to walk through this walkway, and we're going to walk right into Vale's room.
Did you want to talk about the white mechanic on Razorgore real quick, Bobby?
No, I'm not bringing that up to anyone that has any funny business. I will make sure that I'll be looking for that off the start, so I'm not even going to bring it up.
Okay.
All right. So coming into Veilstrauss' room, his VOD is cut, by the way, so you're not going to see like second for second. But you come in, there's Blackwing Technicians. The close packs are super easy. Any of you that have movement speed abilities, you go to the far side. So you rogues pop your sprints, mages pop your blink, whatever. Kill the technicians, and then when we're ready, we're gonna have Oscar talk to the boss. This is a tank and spank, and so I'm gonna go back to my notes here. We're gonna skip down to Veilstrauss, Scary Dragon. Don't pull aggro, warriors. I'll be honest, this fight and Broodlord are the two fights that I am worried about. For quick rundown of Veilstrauss, melee stack is going to go to the far side. So depending on what groups you've been in the past, sometimes the melee stack is on the range side. That is stupid. There's no reason for that. They go to the far side. Healers, make sure you're in range of them. Shamans, make sure your totems are in range of them. It's a tank and spank, so it should be pretty easy. Before the encounters.
Hold on 1 second, my screen's bugged out. If anybody's watching mine.
I'm going to still talk. Before the encounter starts, the priests will be pre-shielding their guys. This encounter will only last about 30 to 35 seconds, so put that in perspective. So you're going to pre-shield as many people as you can before the encounter starts. Right before the encounter starts, one mage will drop a portal. So you'll just drop an Orgrimmar portal. And then the fight will start. You need to make sure your throttle off the rip. It is horde side threat, so in case Oscar has a bad opener, et cetera, pay attention to your threat. Every 15 seconds, a burning adrenaline will go out, and it can only go out on a mana user. So Dark, you're probably not exempt from that. And so anyone that is a mana user, you run the risk of getting burning adrenaline. So this gives you a pretty sick debuff where you do a ton of extra damage, but your effective total health pool goes down every couple seconds. So if you get the burning adrenaline buff, you are not milking the damage. You are running right over and taking the portal. End of story. And you go out to Orc. As soon as you get out of the raid, your burning adrenaline debuff disappears. The reason why you have to leave the raid is because it lasts for a total, I believe, of 15 seconds. And if you don't get out of the raid in those 15 seconds, you die. And Petri will not.
Petri, yep.
Petri will not save you. It will go through Petri. Petri does not save you from all damage in this game, FYI. So
you'll also explode and kill everyone. So
Sure. So you got to get out. So we'll be yelling your name just like we do on the Baron Bomb. We'll be yelling at you. You just get out, take the portal, good to go. And then towards the end of the fight, I do expect you guys to catch Oscar. And so you need to be staying. He mentioned 5 to 10k threat below him. I think that's a fair number because we're horde side. And so, you know, you get that nice Wind Fury proc on a fat execute crit. You're climbing that threat meter really freaking quick. So we need to make sure that we're not catching Oscar, because the second one of you guys pull, you run the risk of wiping the whole melee stack. And obviously that raid night's over. And so can't stress this enough. I'm going to give you my nice visual. This is Veilstraws. This is Oscar. Warriors, Rogues, and Dark go far side. Mage Portal down at the hind feet. Casters and healers, for those of you that played in Home Depot, we're going to be a little closer than you're used to. So we need to make sure we're in range of our melee boys. Pretty straightforward stuff. So I'm just going to play this quick clip from Ahmpy's POV. If you notice, back when he starts the encounter here, he already immediately cuts, but I think it's a full minute on the encounter dialogue. And then
1 minute.
he's gonna attack it from behind, and then he goes hard. So watch his threat. Ahmpy's threat's pretty freaking solid on this first go. And so if you notice, he does AoE pulses here. So we'll have everybody pre-GFPP potted. So greater fire protection potion. We'll have it one rolling right after we do the first boss. And then you'll have your cooldown up so that you can pop a second one during this. I don't care if you're a warrior, you're not popping your little MRP. You guys are popping a GFPP for your second pot. You're making it easier on a healer. This is prog. I don't care about your parse. All right. And then you're taking a lot of damage. If you notice their first kill, they're at 13 seconds right now. I'm going to fast forward just a hair. If you look at their tiny threat, it will show you the time. And they kill it at, I think it was 29 seconds is what that said. So they killed it pretty quick. I think we're going to be somewhere between 30 and 32 seconds. And then just for a general idea, this is where their DPS looks like. So if you notice at the threat, the very last seconds, no one's really that close to Ahmpy. Granted, they are Alliance for what it's worth. He had about a 10k threat lead. So one thing to note, if you notice, Ahmpy has 2 debuffs. One that says 3 minutes, one that says 9 seconds. This one that says 9 seconds is stacked to 3. Ahmpy's going to continue taking damage here until that debuff wears out. So you guys, you healers, need to make sure you're bombing in with heals after the fight. You can't be lackadaisical. So we're going to like speak up and go, hey, yo, heal Oscar. So once that's done, then we will have 1 Warlock and 2 DPS. It's most likely ranged, and we will assign this. You guys will then drop raid, and you will so you'll walk outside of raid, and then you'll summon back whoever the people that got burning adrenaline and got ported. You'll summon them back to the front of Ubers, and then you guys will clear that hallway and come back into the raid. Okay, so you guys are gonna miss probably 1 trash pack, because the buff that you see here, that's debuff, this is a massive damage increase. This is why you guys all do really good damage on Veil. And so we want to utilize this for at least that first trash pack. I don't expect us to be able to utilize this for both, but just to make that first trash pack a little easier. And so these next 2 trash packs are a lot of smoke. I cannot stress this enough. This is scary. And so we'll most likely only be running 1 druid, which makes it a little more complicated. Ideally, you run 2 druids for this, because there are 6 different mobs in the trash packs. There's 2 trash packs of 6. And it's typically 1 Seether, 2 Flame Scales, 1 Captain, 2 Wormkins. From my understanding, this can differ. If we get a good RNG, we'll get 1 Wormkin. But I believe I've always seen 2. And so what will happen is our Resto Druid will sleep one of them, because he can sleep Dragonkin, and he's just going to spam that on him. Cancel cast, just make sure it's constantly up the whole time. The other one will then be kited down the hallway, and we will kill him first. Sorry, I'll go back 1 more second. And then we'll follow this order. Seether, Flame Scale times 2, and then Captain. And so to give you guys a general idea, I'm going to play this clip. So our hunters are all going to be up here instead of just Ahmpy. In this case, it would be Oscar. We're going to have our hunters up here, and they are going to pull to us. So you guys are all going to have assigned markers, and you're going to pull them to your assigned tank. And so you'll come up here, you'll grab these, and then our Resto Druid will be sitting on this left side where their Resto Druid is, getting ready to do his sleep. And they're going to grab the mobs, and they're going to run them back down the hallway. So we'll let him pull here in a second, because I think it should be any second now. And you guys can just get a general, let me fast forward. All right, here it goes. And so now we're gonna pull him down. I don't know really why he's waiting here, maybe to get a hit or two on it. But he's gonna pull him down and around the corner. So let's pretend that skull is the caster mob that we had 2 of. So the person that's pulling this would come around the corner. All DPS are just gonna zug it, and we're gonna chain stun it because he does a lot of damage, a lot of fire damage. And then we would carry on. So let me go back to my guide here. So the Seether would come over here as well. And then the Flamescale Talons, and then the Captain. So I'll just let this play. These mobs die really quick because of the debuff they had. I can't stress enough. If you noticed, kind of hard to see now, but the Captain went the other way. That's intended. So the Captain's going to be brought to the other side, and the other mobs are just going to be lightly spread, enough to be cleaved, but lightly spread, kind of really in the doorway, just around the corner here. And we'll nuke them down. Pretty straightforward. If you notice that one Talon just, let me go back just a hair. That one mob just charged the other direction. They do a knockback. So you need to make sure, like that X is charging right now. So like these 2 people, they're in a bad spot, in my opinion. They get charged, they're getting knocked to Narnia. So you want to make sure your back is to a wall. So all of these people are really solid. So back to a wall here. That he charges away, no big deal. He'll come back to the person that has threat. And then we'll kill him. See, Square just charged as well, and that one guy gets knocked off. So point in case there. All right. So this next pull is going to be exactly the same. Fast forwarding here, they're going to go up. Oh, real quick. So this is the one that was slept by the Druid. We're all going to come up, and the Druid is going to spam sleep the whole time while we're killing him, because he wants to interrupt the spellcast. And we're just going to nuke it. See how he just spam sleeps there? You see it for a split second on him. Yeah, we just kill it. Pretty straightforward. This next one, we're going to pull back the same exact way. So 6 mobs, we'll mark them up. Hunters will have their assigned targets, and we'll repeat the same pull. All right. So that's the post-fail trash. That leads us into the suppression room. So we will be going up the right side of the suppression room. We'll be running 3 to 4 rogues, and they will all be handling the suppression traps. So the rogues don't really do much in this room, I believe. Nerathos will organize this with you guys. I believe the whelps see through the stealth. The big thing here is the hunter puller, TJ. You need to be pulling everything to the left. I'm gonna show it in the VOD here in a second, so it'll be very clear, TJ. But you pull them to the left, and the rogues stay to the right.
Just interrupt real quick. The whelps do not see through stealth. It's simply the big dragonkin, the hatchers.
Hatcher has
They
an
do
AoE.
the AoE.
And will
Gotcha.
knock the rogue,
Okay.
yep.
All right, thanks for the clarification. So we always want to pull left regardless. And then TJ, I will fast forward here. When we do start the suppression room, we won't actually start running through the suppression room for a second. We will initially kill the first handful of mobs. All right, he's running up here now. All right, so Ahmpy's VODs kind of skips around for those of you that haven't done this before. They're going to nuke these 2 mobs. We'll let this play for a second, and then it's going to cut to the suppression room. You go up that hallway and around, and then there'll be a couple mobs up there that we start killing. So we're going to kill the first 3 or 4 pulls. So they're up here now, and then we're up here together as a group, and TJ's going to start pulling to us. So this really bad resolution here. So grab this guy first. There's 2 different packs up here. There is the Talon right here, and then a 3-pack. So the Blackwing Taskmasters. Doesn't matter if you happen to pull both, it's not a big deal. Just the Talon would always be prio, because it does a stacking debuff on you. You take more fire damage. So you just kill the skull first, and then you do Taskmasters. We can realistically pull like these 2. We can pull this Talon over here. We can pull possibly this one over here before we even start clearing through. That being said, we have some kind of secret tech that we're doing. I'm not gonna tell you guys all what it is in case other people are watching. But there's some pretty sweet tech that we have for our tanks for Broodlord. So after we clear these first 4 mobs, we are all gonna take a little short break. our tanks are going to get summoned out of the raid along with Itzy. They're going to go get a pretty sweet buff. And then Itzy will shoot a rocket off for them for some extra HP. Nerathos will summon them back to the mountain. They'll clear the hallway and walk right up to us. And then we will start the clear. So there's going to be probably a 5-minute intermission here. So you'll want to log out during this. And then I'll make the call to log back in. So kind of some spicy stuff that we'll do on the first the first few clears here. So let's pretend that that's all done. Our tanks are buffed. We're going to start the actual clear here. And so I'm going to pause this one more time. We'll go back to my guide here. And so we do plan on taking 1 to 2 mana breaks through the suppression room with another mana break right before Broodlord. And so this is a good visual of what the actual suppression room looks like. So if you notice in their VOD, they're right here where my cursor is. They're looking at this part of the room. We're going to go up the right side and hug the right side the whole time. And so when we're hugging the right side, the first place where we can stop for mana is right up in this corner, right up in this corner. We'll get right into the corner if we need to. If mana is good, which I think it will be, we won't actually stop here. We will keep clearing until this first covey. And then we'll make a stop there. But we'll just see how it is and we'll call it on the fly. So just pay attention to the calls. And then we'll just kind of bounce around to these coveys. TJ will be pulling these technicians to us and the talons. I think it's actually just talons up here, but regardless. And then in this last covey here, we will stay here, get our buffs. We'll rebuff up, we'll re-drink up, and then we'll start Broodlord. So our rogues will be taking care of the suppression traps. You may hear me say, wait, we need our rogues to get ahead of us to actually drop those suppression traps. So that might happen. Just pay attention to the call. Suppression room is very, very easy. So at this point, we've made it through the suppression room. I'm just going to play the VOD really quick, and we're going to kind of skip through here. I don't want to waste too much time. So skipping through, they're pre-clearing as much as they can, and then they're going up the right side now. Right here, Ahmpy's pulling this for some reason instead of the hunter, but whatever. They're clearing up this right side, pretty straightforward. They have one more pull before the hallway. They're knocking this out. And then right here is a really good call by Ahmpy. I don't have the sound on, but right here. So if you notice, the suppression devices are up, but our rogues can't go through right away because he needs to pull the whelps. So they stop, they pull the whelps to us, and then they kill. It looks like they still have some more whelps. Yeah, they grab these, and then the rogue, you can see the rogue stealth right here. Then the rogues go up and drop his suppression devices. And then they just stay behind Ahmpy at all times. So it's very, very important that you don't go in front of the main tank because you don't want to get suppressed by the trap. Traps will go down and then they all move up. See how that literally that went down, they all moved up. That's perfect suppression room right there. All right. So this is where we would stop if we absolutely needed it. We would get in this corner. I don't think he's going to show me a good POV here. But you would get in this back corner where my cursor is, the bottom right. And then we would try to get out of combat, grab some mana. But if you look at all their mana bars, I mean, these everyone's doing great. And I think we will as well. All right. So they're clearing this. They're pulling as much back to them as they can right now. And then they're going up the right side. They have respawn whelps behind them. No big deal. They're going up the right side here. And then this first covey, you can see where my cursor is below his buffs. That's the first pit stop. When I let it play, again, these devices need to go down. So they got to pull the whelps. Looks like they have 2 rogues right here ready to drop them. It goes down, then they continue moving forward. So it's really going to be Oscar being vocal about this and our rogues being on top of it. All right, skipping through. This is pretty straightforward stuff. If we need mana, we'll get into this covey. Otherwise, we'll just keep going. And we're pulling as many talons back. So if you notice right here, they're doubled up. Not a big deal. We'll just need them tanked separately. You don't want to stack them. And so we'll just zug them down. No big deal. We may get a lot of debuffs, so we may have to wait for our debuffs to fall off before we continue pulling. But listen to the calls. This is very little smoke. All these whelps will continue spawning, by the way. The hatchers won't, but the whelps will. And so let me skip for a second. I think they're about to move to the next covey. They are. This covey, and then there's one more covey. Let me skip. All right, so this is the final covey. We'll sit in here, we'll rebuff, and if you notice, let me go back just a hair. you can see a really good POV of Broodlord. All right, this big ass motherfucker. So this guy hits like a Mack truck. This is the only other boss that I'm scared of in here. This guy, you do not play around on this guy. He will kill you. And he has a big aggro range. So when I say you cannot break corner, I'm referring to this corner straight ahead. You cannot break this corner. The second you even step out, you're pulling Broodlord. He has a massive aggro range. So you have to stay hidden. You cannot ninja pull this boss. You will get people killed. So you'll see Ahmpy's POV. They handle this really well. Ahmpy's going to get up close. He's making a call right now to have PHX, his hunter, grab these 3 whelps. So Hunter's going to stand max range. He's not even on his screen because he's standing so far back. He's going to shoot a bow shot. You see it coming in. Grabs the 3. Nobody's breaking corner. And they kill him where they stand. If you break corner, you pull Brood. All right. So I'm going to tab back over. We're going
Bobby,
to
could you
Brood.
rewind real quick and just really emphasize like how they run into that cubby? Like,
Yeah.
because
All
like
right, so-
if you hug it, like if you go in fat, like if you go back even further, like if you go out wide, like you will pull like even before you get to that little exit there.
Oh, whoops. I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
That's why. Sorry.
Yeah, like even getting
You
close
come
to
out
the
a little
corner,
bit
you can
halfway through
pull.
the cubby, you pull. Like you have to be against the
Yeah.
wall.
Point
So you
out
see
where
how-
hypothetically we would end up if someone did pull, just for everyone's sake.
Sorry, what's that, Horn?
Let's say someone pokes out of the cubby. Oscar's obviously going to react immediately. It ends up out of place. Where is that usually?
I'll take care of that in a second. But
good.
that's just not going to happen. People are going to listen. That's probably just like probably you're never coming back to BWL angle. Because like this is like we're stepping into content now where your mistake, it's going to get people killed. It's not MC anymore. It's not Onyxia. Like you will get people killed. You cannot tank Broodlord unless you're in full mid. He's going to wreck you. So he hugs this wall. So great point out, Oscar. I'll play it one more time. They hug this wall. So you hug this wall and then you cut right. So right here, cut right. He's hugging. Again, he's hugging the wall. I cannot stress this enough. They all hug it. And that's because Broodlords, all of these guys hugged it. That's perfect. That's what we need to do. So thanks for bringing that up, Oscar. All right. They pull these mobs. And then they get ready to pull Brood. So I'll just pause it here. And we're going to just
In the
talk about
front.
Brood real quick.
He's ready to hit that trap.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll show that in a second. There's a rogue that's up there ready to hit the trap. All right. So Broodlord, what do you have to worry about? So the tanks have their back to the wall. Melee, you must stay fully behind the boss. If you're even like remotely on its side, you're gonna eat a nasty cleave. It's probably gonna do 3/4 of your life. For sure half. And that's with the Titans and everything under the sun on you. You also want to stand max melee range on Brood. There was a nice clip posted in the Warrior channel, I believe, just a few days ago, and somebody somehow got annihilated as a DPS, and no one can really explain it. The general rule is you just want to stand max range. Zodiacs, are you in here? I think you are probably. You're most likely going to be the guy that's on suppression trap duty. So we're not 100%. If the suppression trap that's by Broodlord stays down the whole fight. For some reason, I think it does not, but we're not 100%. Some people say it does, some people say it doesn't. So we're going to have a rogue for the first run through. You're just babysitting the trap. Because if that suppression trap comes up, it is making all of our casters and healers have a 50% increased cast time. Our tank's dying. He's getting hit like a Mack truck. We can't afford that to happen. So there's going to be certain strats that we're doing in here where people are going to have their parse bricked. It is what it is. It's proc. All about getting it done safely. And then we'll refine. So he's going to stand on the suppression trap and make sure that's down. And then you want to make sure we're saying stay behind the third tank. In the clip that I want to show you, Ahmpy's threat never gets reset. I'm assuming he just resists it. I'm not really sure why. Maybe he just got lucky. But a general rule of thumb is stay behind the third tank. Because every time that the boss does a knockback, it halves the main tank's threat. And so what should happen is Oscar's main tanking it, he gets knocked back, and then it immediately goes to Scad. Scad then gets knocked back, and it's either going to go to Sask as the third tank, or it's going to go to possibly Oscar, depending on how quickly he's able to build his threat back up and how quickly that first knockout comes. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe our tank doesn't get fucked on threat. Hey, great. But anytime a new tank takes over, and this is for Oscar and the tanks to talk about, but I'm pretty sure you guys will probably last stand because Oscar should be last standing on pool here because that's what Ahmpy does, and he has a really nice threat lead. I mean, sorry, a really nice HP pool. So 2 things to point out. The boss does a Mortal Strike on the tank. We want to make sure our healers are using a Power Word Shield when that happens, not before. And then Blast Wave. Blast Wave. This will also chunk you melee below half. It's going to wreck you guys. So we'll have to get you topped off. It's another good reason why to have a GFPP pre-rolling in here if you can, but it's pretty much no shot that's going to happen because it will get dropped off in the suppression room. You ranged boys, your life is very easy. This is not a scary boss for you guys. So I'm going to play the clip and I'm going to show you where they're tanking it. We're going to tank it in the exact same spot. So he's running in. He last stands in a second. Last stands now. He goes to 14.485 KHP. This guy ain't dying with last stand up. He's dragging this to the wall. And he has his self in the right up against the wall all the way up. And then he rotates his camera. And so you can see all you melee boys. These melee boys, in my opinion, do not stack that well. A lot of them will take damage here. All right, so the knockaway just happened. He didn't get his threat halved. Mortal Strike goes out. This is the Power Word Shield angle I was talking about. And then there's gonna be a Blast Wave. You see all the look at this BN dude. I can guarantee you him and Grace probably don't have Titans on. And so like these people are getting wrecked. That's just from the Blast Wave. All right, so it's gonna continue going on. He's gonna do another knockback shortly. Mortal Strike on Ahmpy again, knock away. And again, his threat does not get half for some reason. This should be back on health spawn at this point. There it is. And his threat doesn't get half. Look at the real quick. I don't know if you guys missed that. Watch LMXX's health. He ate a part of a cleave and then the blast wave. So he's standing in the wrong spot. He almost dies. So this is why I can't stress enough. And they arguably probably have better gear than us because they're milking the 20-man loot.
Plus their ZG gear or buffs and all that other stuff.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
have.
ZG
also
King
have
is-
Nax gear. Like
Yeah,
Ahmpy has
well,
Nax gear.
Well, really? Maybe they
Yeah,
cleared
it's
the
got
first
Nax
couple
bases.
bosses. Yeah, they probably cleared the first few bosses then. Yeah, so like LMXX, if that's a rogue and ours, you're just dead. There's no outplay there. It's don't be in the wrong position. So we'll probably have like a melee marked, maybe like a woke or something. We'll have marked, and then you just stack on that person, so it's a nice pixel stack. Because it's all about being in the right spot.
I
The
highly
one
suggest not intercepting on the blast wave due to the tanks
You
don't have
cannot.
intercept. Yeah, do not intercept on the first couple kills until we can get used to it, guys. Play smart.
Yeah, so when he does that knockback, let me just rewind it for a quick second. Oh, you know, it just happened. So it happens right here in a second. All the melee boys, if you notice, they all get knocked back here, and then you're dazed. So if it's kind of hard to tell on this POV, but they're like slowly walking in. You don't charge back in. You just walk up. You're gonna sack maybe 2 globals, whatever. Not a big deal. All
Don't
right.
give your tanks a chance to be ahead of you. That's why you don't intercept.
The
Yeah,
one.
so like if I can interrupt here, like
Yeah,
we really
go
need to
for it.
make sure that like I'm getting a threat lead because especially just watching this again, like anytime like Ahmpy gets like mortal striked or even near the end of the fight when he has a threat lead, like he's putting on a shield. So I'm most likely going to be putting on a shield too. So if you let me get a threat lead, then it's way safer because if I have to dual wield the whole fight, it's going to be really rough. So I need to put on a shield for mortal strikes, and if I have a big threat lead, then I can throw on a shield and be a lot safer. So please and thank you.
And they also have obviously much better gear because someone, I think was Hug that just highlighted, he's wearing 1 to 2 pieces of Nax gear. So they were picking the low hanging fruit. We don't have that luxury.
They also lay
So-
on hands, and
And
he's got lay on hands buff.
Yep, they
Yeah, they
lay
got
on
Diamond
hands.
Flask up too.
Yeah, there's
King's
well, we
Anvil.
should we should have Diamond Flask as well, because
Yeah.
we could go in and get it before raid. So there's like all of you warrior boys. I highly suggest having enough time in your day to go get D Flask before raid. It's really important. It's a monster trinket. Anyway, so the only difference we're making, the only change we're making here is that their ranged are standing by the door. Our ranged are not. We're gonna tank it in the same spot, but I'm gonna show you. So this little blue X is where Ahmpy tanked it, and our range are gonna stand right on this corner back to the wall. right in this covey, back to the wall. The only suppression device we have to worry about is this one right here. Zodiacs, that's the one that you're going to babysit. Nara will go over that with you. Our backs are going to be to this wall here, all of you ranged and casters, so that we can immediately start, playing the game. You just need to make sure you're throttling off the first couple of GCDs. That obviously includes everyone. That in a nutshell is Broodlord. There's not much more to talk about. It's a pretty straightforward fight. You pull threat as a
one
melee,
question.
you're gonna die. What's up?
Doesn't he have a threat dump? So the DPS need to stay below the off tanks as
The
well.
third one. We said third tank.
Yeah, he talked about that.
Yeah.
I did talk about that. So yeah. So you want to stay below the third tank. So in this case, it's gonna be Oscar, and then it's gonna be Scad, and then it's gonna be Sask. We don't need a fourth tank for this, so you'll just be DPS. And so you'll want to stay below Sask to play it safe. We'll fine tune this a bit more as we see this get killed a few times to see what our kill time is looking like, and whatnot. Anyway, regardless, for this one, you stay below the third tank. All right. Any other questions? We're moving a little slow here. It's 7:40, and I thought we'd be done in 20 minutes, so we need to pick it up here. So we're moving on to tech packs. There is like 6 or 7 tech packs in this instance. The first 2 are done in the same spot. We're going to have all of the hunters, so we will be running 3. They will all go up and pull at the exact same time. They'll have their assigned mark, and they're pulling it to their assigned tank. There will be a 4th ad that our tank will just need to pick up on his own. We'll have us all assigned out. It's not a big deal. And then I went back and forth with Oscar on this, and I think, Oscar, we are going to have the dynamites be done. However, if you're newer to BWL and you feel like this is a lot of info being thrown at you, which naturally that's probably going to be the case, don't worry about throwing your dynamite when I call for it. It's fine. But when I call for it, if you can remember, throw your dynamite. So all of you people that are seasoned raiders, have been in here a shitload, you're going to know what I'm talking about. We're going to have the dynamite be thrown at the techies, and I'm going to call for either even groups or odd groups. So if I say even groups, throw dynamite, it's going to be all the DPS in the even groups. So we should see roughly 10 to 12 dynamites be thrown out. And then the next pack would be then the odd groups. So you need to pay attention. What group am I in? Throw your dynamite when I call it. And so this is a good infographic of where the techies are pulled. So if you notice, Broodlord's dead body is right here. This exit pops open, and then this first tech pack is right in front of us. So I want you to focus on the blue text here. The tech pack mage, so Itzy, will be sitting here hiding. The hunters assigned to the 2 warlocks will pull them right to the right here. So they'll pull and just cut this way, and the tanks will pick them up, and they'll be killed right in this corner. Whoever is on the spellbinder will run straight. This tank will pick it up. You're running through the tank. So these guys, you're running through the tank. And then lastly, the big fat Death Talon guy, you're running him to this back corner, and the tank is picking him up, and he's tanking this with back to the wall in full mid gear because this guy slaps. As soon as the techies are in the doorway, that's when I will call for the even or odd groups to throw the dynamite. Itzy will do her thing with some nice AoE up front, and then the casters will be loosely spread where my cursor is, loosely spread in like a half circle right here. So all of the mages and warlocks and will be pumping into the techies. With the dynamite, with Itzy, with our DPS, those techies are dying real freaking quick. And then we go help the other mobs. Pretty straightforward stuff. As long as it's executed well, the techies are really not that scary. It's just concerning for the tech pack mage. All right. I will just show very briefly because I don't think he really has that great of a POV for this, but they're getting ready to start this. The techies come in. If you notice, the techies are there first. So at this point, we would call for, say, dynamite. But Itzy doesn't want to go right away because she wants to wait just a hair until the mobs funnel through. These first 2 tech packs are a little sus. You don't have that much real estate to work with, but Itzy's done this a million times, so it's not a big deal. Again, not the best POV. He kind of clips these tech packs. They also don't have hunters pulling them, or I guess they have hunters pulling on that one. But as you can see, Death Talon is the big fat dude that a tank is going to pull to the back right. You see a warlock coming in. He gets pulled right around the corner. Techies are follow suit. They're just annihilated in the doorway. We'll probably put a hunter trap here like a freezing trap to slow him. And then yeah, we'll go to town. All right, next up is Fire Maul.
It is last target. Death Talon is last target at all times. It doesn't matter if it has a resistance buff or not. It's
Yep.
last target to die.
Yeah, good call. For sure. All right, so then next up is Fire Maul. So for Fire Maul, main tank heals will go on the other side of the wall. I'll explain that in a second. DPS doesn't go in until Oscar calls for it, and it's all because the boss needs to be in the correct position. You don't have the boss in the correct position, people will die. And then you DPS, I want you for this first run. We want to be dropping stacks at 6. So some of you might hit it pretty quickly. You want to be prioritizing, in my opinion, you want to be prioritizing fire res gear. You mages, you want to be running in deep frost spec for this, so that you can ice block it off and you can stay in the whole time. If you have fire res gear, you want to wear it here. And so for this, the OT is going to tank. He's going to come in, taunt the wing buff it, and then MT is going to taunt it back, so he doesn't eat it, so we can keep pumping, right? I know Icy and Woke, I guess, do some kind of strat where they sit out. They could talk about that in the Warrior meeting. More info there for how they do this boss as Warriors. They don't go in right away, from my understanding. All right, so just real quick, let me show you actually the pictures from his VOD, because they're really good photos. So this photo is taken right after Ahmpy says melee come in. He just positioned the Fire Maul boss, but it wasn't perfectly positioned, so he pulls it back just a hair, and then he makes the call for him to come in. Hellspawn and Windforce are the 2 OTs, and then you have the main tank healers over here. They need to be LOS from the dragon, but still being able to heal the empty, so you don't get stacks. That's the tech there. The other healers are on the backside. They're healing the raid, but they're also LOS from Fire Maul, so they can continue healing the whole time. So that's why you tank him right here. Okay, and then this is Windforce taunting for the Wing Buffet. He has to be back to this wall here, otherwise he's going to get punted to Narnia. And then Oscar takes it back. Pretty straightforward stuff. I'll just play this clip really quick. He's getting ready to pull now. He pulls it himself. And then it's all about the first few seconds there, because he's got to get it positioned correctly. Everyone's hiding. Very, very important. You can't break quarter. Everyone's hiding. And then these guys jumped the gun. He didn't make the call yet. They go back. And then they all come out. He had to reposition it just a hair. Pretty straightforward stuff. We have a ticking debuff right here. Ahmpy already has 1 stack. He's in full fire res gear, so it doesn't matter. We probably won't hit that much fire res. But we'll also get the Uber's fire buff before. So hopefully you end up resisting a bunch of these and you can stay in pretty much the whole time. But you hit 6 stacks, you get out, I'll call your name. If you can't listen to these sorts of mechanics on these first few prog days, don't expect to be brought back. I need people that are going to listen. I don't care about your damage. It's all about getting through safely, and then we'll fine tune things so we can all parse decently well. All right, that's pretty much Fire Maul. He's a tank and spank, taunt for the wing buffet, and we're doing our thing.
Just real quick, by the way, for shamans, you're gonna use fire resist totems on this fight.
Bale, Razor Gore, Ebon Rock, all of those you're going to use fire resist.
Yeah, and
It
I'm
doesn't make
sure.
sense not to.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be covered in your healing meeting too. But yeah, we want to get all the fire res. What's up?
Broodlord specifically, the threat drop has to do with fire res, correct? So like if you
I don't know.
No,
I don't think you
No.
wear any fire res on
That's
Broodlord. It's
just
a
the
full mid
blast
set.
wave. That's
blast
like
wave.
different.
Yeah, you're not
Okay,
wearing fire res gear on that boss.
Okay, well, sorry. The reason I was bringing it up was that I thought that something along some guide I looked at, I guess, had something to do with fire res and the tanks needing fire res as opposed to like DPS.
Not on
because of a
Broodlord.
because of a threat mechanic.
Can't do that.
No,
Okay, all right.
you might have it mixed up. I don't know. But you don't
Sorry.
wear fire res. Oh, good. No, I'd rather a question that might seem silly because maybe someone else is thinking, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's totally
I
fine.
just wanted
Not
to
a big
cover
deal.
the fire totem to make sure that wasn't like a thing. Okay, cool. Thanks.
And this is the first boss where you need Oni cloaks, right?
You are correct. That's a great call, and I have not brought that out yet. So as soon as we engage, as soon as we're done, Broodlord, I'm just going to tell you to put your cloak on. You're not taking it off until Chromag. We'll take it off for Chromag. You can reprow your cloak, and then we're going to scream at you to put your cloak back on because you got to have it on for Neff. If you don't have your cloak on, and something goes wrong in BWL, and you get breathed on, you're going to get annihilated. You're just going to die. So you have to have your cloak on. Luckily, we have a shitload of cloaks. Everyone's going to get one, so you don't have to worry about it. Some guilds will come in and clear without 40 people having cloaks on, and then sometimes things get a little hairy.
Just to reiterate on the Shadow Flame Breath, it's all of the 4 or the 3 Drakes that do those, and Nefarian. If you get hit with that Shadow Flame Breath and you don't have your cloak on, you can't Petri it off, you can't bubble it off. There's like nothing you can do. So
Yeah, you
make
just
sure
die.
you're wearing your fucking cloaks.
Yeah, you just die. All right, so the next pack after Firemaul is the 4 big fat guys. So there's 3 little smaller fat dudes and then 1 massive fat guy. The Death Talon Wormguard, he's going to be tanked off to the side, and then these 3 will be loosely spread. We're going to have mages apply magic detection on these because they're all weak to a certain spell class. And then mobs are loosely spread. I just said that. And then we're going to have 2 assigned goalies that literally are just sitting in the caster group. You're just sitting, you're chilling. And the second one of these ads get loose, because it's going to happen, it's going to happen to one of 2 things. Either the tank is going to start spinning because the big worm guards, they can make the tank spin, which means that you need to get away from him because he will do AoE damage and he will truck you. Yeah, your homie will kill you. Or what will happen is one of these casters will be a moron and over pump and pull off the tank because they go, oh, it's frost, so I'm going to pump my frost bolts, and they're doing like 6k frost bolts, and in 3 frost bolts they jump 20k threat and pull the boss. So the tanks that are sitting as goalies, that's your job to make sure you're taunt, bring it back to the tank, and then you're coming back to the range stack. I know it's not a lovely job, and you're going to be massively down on trash damage. I don't care. It's all about getting through safely. These are the 4 guys. So this is a good action shot from his VOD. They pull the Death Talon Wormguard off to the side. It doesn't necessarily have to be Skull. It really doesn't matter per se. We'll probably just kill it in this order. It's not that big of a deal though. And then we'll go and kill the other 3. But yeah, as you see the range clump, you're just kind of standing off to the side. Pretty straightforward stuff. This is no smoke. All right, then we go into the tech packs. So this is tech packs 3 through 6, total of 4. We're going to be in the same exact spot for these. So the 3 hunters will pull their assigned target. In fact, I'm not even going to go over this. This is the same stuff I already reiterated earlier in this conversation. I just copy and pasted it for these tech packs. The important part is where we're doing it. So this is a good action shot from one of Frontier's raids, where this is the part of the room that we're in. And then I have a nice, pretty thick paint drawing that I did for you guys to help further put this in perspective. So the first tech pack is right where my cursor is, and the melee boys are going to sit where the warlocks are, where the warlock name is, as well as the 2 tanks assigned to the warlocks. The range/healers are going to be over here. It's very important you are not pressing any abilities. You cannot get on global threat. Treat it like Gar. You cannot get on global threat here. Otherwise, you're going to fuck the pool. The hunters will pull their assigned targets. So the Death Talon tank, whoever's the full mid tank, will be sitting up against the wall, tanking it over here. The Spellbinder is going to get pulled out back over here. And then the techies, so Itzy will just pull the corner and she'll just start pumping the techs, the ranged and healers. And then we'll be over here also helping pump the techs, right? The ranged. Pretty straightforward stuff. I'll call even and odd groups again for the dynamite. If you feel like that's within your bandwidth to be able to do that, you're not super overly, overwhelmed. Great. If not, no big deal. Not the end of the world. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to skip there. But that's how we will stay down here for 4 pulls. You're not moving. You're resetting back to your spots. Hunters are going back up. They're pulling back down to us. You're not going anywhere.
The last 2 pulls can have 5 tanks as well. 2 spellbinders, 2 warlocks, and 1 Death Talon. We'll call that tank if we need.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll know before we pull it because our hunters will see it. So we'll know that, where you need to be. So not a big deal. Pretty straightforward stuff. You'll just have to pick up your ad on your own because a hunter won't be able to pull it to you.
Bobby, did you want to talk too about like how the hunters have to like move fast when they do this so they can get CC'd and just die?
Also, don't want to clip the wall because it'll all get reset. It's very bad. It'll port the 2 of them. Yeah, it'll port them to the ads.
I've never seen a hunter die on a pull like this. Maybe
I have.
cooked, but
Yeah.
you just literally shoot and run. So What's the issue there?
Touch the wall.
Erica has one where she touched the wall and it teleported her to the
Ah.
mobs and she had to petri it.
So
It's
don't touch the wall.
whole- yeah,
It was jumping up on that
touching-
ledge. It's that little lip that's along the side. That's how it happened.
Oh, well, that's common sense. You can't go up on a ledge if you evade
And
them. They're
then-
gonna. There's mechanics in raids where they, or even in dungeons, where it will teleport you to the mobs.
The other one,
So
the
don't
tank
evade
got
both
a
them.
the tank got a resist, and then it resisted Feign, so she had to petri as well.
Well, I mean, again, that's just sometimes shit hits the fan. You got to know when to petri. So yeah, I would say you're shooting and you're running like hell. You guys are all shooting at the same time. So TJ, make sure the hunters are all on the same page for that. So you guys are shooting and then you're dipping out. You're coming back to your assigned spot. But it really should be no smoke because you guys are sitting as far back as possible when you initially shoot.
I'd say one thing too about just the hunters pulling back and Itzy being up there for the techs. Like we need one healer that's a little bit closer assigned to dispel because as the spellbinder runs back, it could poly Itzy or it could
Yep.
poly
Great
the
call.
hunter too. So
Great call. So yeah, Itzy will have a couple healers that are assigned to just Itzy on the actual tech packs. So she'll have most likely the Resto Druid, and then a priest for the dispel, and then bubble, and then just throughput on her, right? And so when these pulls are coming in, it's not uncommon for someone to get shept. And so that whoever that priest is that's on Itzy needs to be playing a little far forward so that they can insta dispel her. She can also ice walk out of it for what it's worth. So she can get herself out if that's what comes to it.
Quick
Yeah, I
question.
also wanted to say something about this too.
What's that?
Healers, it's very, very important throughout all of BWL. Like you stay to your assigns. I know like an MC, like assignments can kind of, you might want to heal snipe or heal this and that for your parse. But honestly, like just staying on your assign like is so important because in this part, the raid's gonna be taking a lot of damage. But like that doesn't matter. Like you need to stay on Itzy if you're assigned to Itzy because if she dies, like it can go so south. So just staying to your assign matters.
Yeah,
so
I can't
much.
stress enough. Damage is really
so much.
spiky here. Very spiky. So you got to follow through with whatever you're assigned on. Who
And
else had a
you will
question?
see the raid taking a lot of damage, a lot throughout BWL. But if you're assigned like a tank or something, like our tanks are not geared. Like our third and fourth tank, like they're not as geared as any of those people were. So you have to stay on them. And yeah, it's very important.
What's it actually doing here?
Sorry, say that again.
Itzy is tanking the techies. So she
Okay.
has roughly 14, 15 little fuckers throwing dynamite at her. She has to do figure eights to keep them off of her, and she'll be healed throughout this so she doesn't die in case she does get clipped by some of these explosives.
She's
Got it.
spamming AE, spamming cones. She's the tech back mage. She's stacking as much HP so that she can do figure eights, as Icy said, or just circles, whatever, doesn't matter. You're just constantly moving because they throw dynamite at where you're currently standing. So if you take threat on the tech back mage, I'm gonna tell you to move. I'm gonna yell at you because you're about to get a lot of dynamite thrown on your head. So it's very important not to instantly pump the techs so that Itzy can get a couple globals off. If she's spamming her arcane explosions, her shatter combos, you're not gonna rip off her. She's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure she touches them first.
So my
Alright.
question had to do with dynamite. Are we assigning like half the raid to throw grenades on a pack and then half on the next? That's what we
Yeah.
did in my last guild. There was a lot of AoE
So-
damage.
So I've already talked about that. The DPS in the even groups will throw it when I say even groups dynamite, and then on the next pull it will be odd groups. On the DPS, we'll throw it when I ask. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that will be on every single tech pack. And again, if you're newer to BWL, not a big deal. I don't expect you to like a lot's going on. So if you don't want to throw dynamite, it's fine. But it's going to be something that we work into that as the weeks go forward. All right. Let me go back because this is taking a little bit longer than I was hoping. So I apologize. We definitely are going to go over time. We're getting towards the end here. We have after the tech pack pulls, we will then move up to the next platform, and we will do the next 3 big fat dudes. So at random, these ads can make your tank spin. When this happens, the tank does an AoE in place to all friendly targets. You will most likely die if you take 2+ hits of this. You instantly swap targets when this happens. The mages will detect magic on these guys, and all melee will FAP and stand max range on the 3 big fat dudes. We will have 2 assigned goalies again that you're just chilling. You're sitting in the caster group. Same thing as I explained before on the 4-pack pool. You're just waiting for either A, someone to thrip, or B, the tank is going to start spinning and it's going to go to the next person that's on the threat meter. So you need to make sure that, because that's arguably going to be arranged at that point. So you want to make sure that you're picking it up. I just had a question about the techie, so I'm going to go back for a second. You see where the text is right now on my screen? You want to be putting a frost trap here, right on the other side of this corner, like right here where my mouse is, before every pull here for these first 4 pulls. That should answer that person's question. All right. So moving forward, we're up the platform. We're getting ready to do these 3 big fat dudes. We have some pretty sweet arrows to demonstrate how far back we're pulling. 3 hunters will be assigned to each person, and they'll just pull straight back to their tank. Super straightforward. You space them out. You move targets when you need to. Listen to the calls. Be totally fine. Moving in to the next 2 bosses, they're
So
going to.
I do want to say something about
Sure.
the 3 big guys. If you want to just go back there.
Yeah.
So, it's gonna take a couple seconds for them to use their abilities. So all melee and even range are actually just AFK for the first 10 seconds that we put them into position and we start hitting them, because we want to make sure that there's no threat drop mechanics. And it's not a kill order of skull, X, and square. It's a kill order of which one does not have a threat drop mechanic and which one's the safest to kill. So be very mindful of that, and you're going to be waiting a while before you start attacking those. So do not just go in as soon as it's in position and the tank has like 3k threat.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. People will see skull and immediately think it's always kill target. In this case, on these 3-pack pulls, and even the 4-pack pull that I showed, the target markers really have nothing to do with it. We're identifying what's killable and what do we want to wait to kill. You're going to see this in AQ40 as well on the first initial trash. Getting a little ahead of things, but yeah, the kill targets don't always mean what you're normally used to them meaning. All right. Moving forward to Ebon Rock and Flame Gore. So the main tank, so Oscar is going to go up this platform. He's going to bow shoot the Drake, and then he's going to hop off. And then he's going to bring it straight back to his spot. And so Oscar, when I was talking with Nara and Icy, we were oh, this isn't updated. I didn't update this infographic shoot. Icy, Nara, you were saying the MT stands where the 3rd tank is, and the 3rd tank and OT stand over here, correct?
That's what we did in Fellowship and in Home Depot, yeah.
So, I mean, we still have time. Maybe we'll refine this. Oscar had mentioned Hardcore Elite does 3 stacks. In my opinion, I don't think there's a benefit to this. We can do some more talking, and we'll get with the tanks if it need be. So, TBD, maybe we do a 3 stack. Maybe we do a 2 stack. We'll see. But the important part is the melee. You need to be constantly moving depending on where the Ebon Rock is being tanked. So if he's facing this guy, you need to be over here. You need to be on his ass. He gets moved, you need to swap and get on his ass. It's very, very important. And then otherwise, you just want to watch your threat early, and then it's a tank and spank. It's pretty straightforward. It's just a tank boss for they're tanking the wing buffets. Not really much to talk about. I believe there are trank shots needed on these bosses, so we'll just call for it. Pretty straightforward stuff.
There's just
go ahead.
one quick note: when the tank bow shoots and jumps down, the healers should not top him off because they're gonna rip threat
Yeah, you
unless
don't do anything global. No globals until it gets in position.
Great
like
call.
you'll be tempted to top him off, let him just first state or something.
Yeah, wait for position for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. As soon as he starts hitting it and pulling it back, that's when you can start hitting him with heals. In fact, we'll watch Ahmpy's all right, so for some reason Drex feels the need to come up here with him, which is kind of funny. But he hits it, hops right off, takes barely any damage. He should get hit decently well. He got strunked here because I think he builds up like thrash stacks or some shit. Hits him, but totally fine. And then he starts getting hit with heals, right? So you want to make sure he's connecting with the boss again. You hit him preemptively with heals, then you're gonna pull healing threat. Otherwise, it's a tank and spank. Again, we'll figure out whether we want to do 3 tank spots or 2 tank spots. But we'll figure that out and we'll have it on the assignment sheet and talk to the tanks because it will only affect them. And again, you melee boys just need to make sure you're moving. For some reason, these guys, they're not moving. This is really bad. You want to move. You always move with the boss. Always.
Yeah, you don't want to chance the parry haste. Just get behind
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's super silly. So in my opinion, they're not doing this like the cleanest.
Isn't the positioning of them there, like on the diagonal, so that they can't parry haste? Because if the ball is getting turned 90 degrees left and right, then
It should be
Yes,
good, but we've also
with
had
three
that problem when
tanks,
people jump, it spins,
with
right?
3 tanks and like the triangle, like it's a lot easier to avoid parry hasting from all the melee stuff. So
Yeah, so maybe we do 3 just
why would
maybe
3
we do
tanks be
3
easier?
tanks. Well, it's 3 tanks to begin with, but are you talking 3 stacks, Scad,
It
or
wouldn't change it either.
Yeah,
Stacking it or not stacking it, it wouldn't matter as long as
Yeah,
they're on
I'm
that
talking about
side.
3 stacks.
It wouldn't change anything.
we can talk about this later. I don't want to waste the raid's time. Because we have 80 people in here and we can talk about this after. It's not a problem. Because we still need to pin this part down.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm not going to go over Flame Gore because it's literally the same exact freaking fight. Exactly what you saw with Ebon Rock is what you'll see with Flame Gore. So again, just that infographic, melee is always staying behind. And then we have another pool of the 3 big fat dudes. So at random, again, I've already gone over this, but at random, these ads can make your tank spin. When this happens, the tank does an AoE in place, and you just want to make sure you get away from them. We're going to hit these guys with Detect Magic. All of you melee boys, you're going to FAP, and then we're going to have the 2 assigned goalies sitting in the caster group, just picking the ad up, and you're bringing it back to the tank. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then these are the 3 big fat dudes that I'm talking about. You have this whole platform to work with. You're just evenly spacing them out. And again, as Oscar had already said on the last set of these guys, just because it's a skull doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be killing it first. We need to identify what their abilities are so that we can say, hey, we're going to kill skull first, or hey, we're going to kill X first. And so we'll be needing our tanks to be vocal about what's killable and what's not. Okay, just listen to the calls, be totally fine. And now we're running into the last 2 bosses. So you're done with all the trash at this point, and we're getting the juicy bosses down here. So Promagus. So the tank is going to start the encounter with a pending summon. The warlock is going to start the summon in the actual tank spot. So then when the tank ends up taking the summon, he's going to then get put into the place that he needs to be. He's going to hit the lever to start the fight, and then he's going to immediately take the summon. He needs to be really snappy with it. The boss does a few mechanics. So one of the most notable things is he does breath, and he does 2 different breaths. Now he has 3 or 4 different breaths he can choose from. I forget how many. Whenever he does a breath, you want to hide for them. You do not want to be greedy. You want to get out with ample time, especially if you have the bronze debuff on you. So you're going to hear me yelling at you at like probably 5 seconds to go, out, 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 out. It's because this is a prog. I don't want you to min-max every global. I want you to get out. I want you to stay alive. Because in the gear that we're in, if you do not get out in time, that breath will hit you, and you're going to get annihilated. It will probably one-shot you, from my understanding, is what I was reading in our Discord earlier. And so the only breath where I'll have you guys come back out, you won't stay in line of sight, is time lapse. The problem is on this first go around, you don't know it's a time lapse until the last second. And when that happens, you're panicking, you're going, time lapse, get out, get out, get out. So you're all running into line of sight. So you're doing the opposite of what you're used to because you want to eat the time lapse. The time lapse will have your threat. So you want to eat it, and the OT will hide. So in this case, Scad. So Scad will stay hiding. Everyone else comes out. If you're in line of sight, you'll eat half of your threat. Your threat will cut in half. And then it should go to Scad, because Scad is the only one hiding. Does that make sense? Pretty straightforward. The problem is we won't know until the last second, and somebody's not going to react in time. It's fine. So what we do to make sure that this is safe is that for the first 2 breaths, all of you DPS, you need to stay below Scad. The reason is if we need to see if we have a time lapse, because if we do have a time lapse, even if you stay hidden on accident, you don't get killed, because then the boss will be attacking you, and it will be a mess. And so we will stay below scab if we, assuming we don't get a time lapse, and I hope we don't, because it's just easier to do this boss without it. Then you no longer need to stay below scab. It's irrelevant. You can go above, and we can just pump. So
I would just like to sorry to interrupt, but I would just like to say, even if you are below SCAD, like below half of SCAD's threat, you can resist time lapse. So just be wary of that, and so just be ready to send a Petri or a lip if you need to, because you can resist it and you can get aggro.
Great call. Yeah. So even if you do your mechanics right and the game just Fs you, you need to send that Petri, send that lip. Well, actually, you just send Petri because you want to wipe your threat. The lip is not going to save you. You're going to come out of that 6-second lip, and then he's going to come back to you because everybody else probably didn't resist it. So you want to send the Petri. So super easy ways to die in here. That being said, the boss will rotate magic weaknesses, and you want to pop your cooldowns when it's your magic weakness. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll back to back, and others you won't. Just make sure you're paying attention to your range so you're not overtaking our tanks. Because when you get back to back, say frost ones or fire ones, you're hitting like a Mack truck. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the threat meters. I'll be calling it out. Again, when you're like 5 seconds to go on the breath, I'll be telling you to hide. We already talked about time lapse. There is one of the debuffs that you'll get. There's like 3 or 4 different ones. Most of them can just be decursed or dispelled, but the one that's bronze is the nasty one. So if you have the bronze one, you want to use the sand that drops in BWL. Forget what it's called. It's like something sand.
Hourglass sand.
Hourglass sand, perfect. And so we'll be looting this. It's a white item. So everyone will want to make sure they're looting their mobs throughout. So all of the techies, all of those big guys, you want to make sure you're looting them if you see the sparklies, because you're the only person that can loot the sand off that guy, and you need that sand for this boss. And so it's very important that you're looting it, and if you have multiple for these first couple clears, we're spreading the wealth around. Everyone needs a sand or two. Priorities for our tanks. God forbid you don't have a sand, or maybe you use your sand and you get unlucky and you get another bronze debuff. You need to be thinking about this when you're getting out for Chromag, because if you have a bronze debuff, it's going to stun you in place. Does anyone know how long the stun lasts for?
3 or 4 seconds.
4 seconds. 3 seconds. So if it's 3 or 4 seconds and you start moving out at 5 seconds and you have the bronze, you can't get it off of you, you get stunned, you're fucked. You're dead.
Can you blink it?
Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can blink the stun.
I don't know. I don't recall.
Petri off all the.
You can
debuffs.
block, unblock, and it gets rid of it
Perfect.
too.
Perfect. So I would advise my first time through, I'm probably just going to send a Petri. Personally, I have the goal to do so, and it's going to keep my character safe. I'll probably just Petri that shit off if I don't have sand. In all honesty.
Any of the debuffs, you Petri it off. Just Petri it off.
Block, unblock.
Well, the mages, when we're hiding, we should be spam decursing. The druid, when you're hiding, you should be spam decursing anyone in range of you. And so I'm going to play the Chromag fight really quickly and just show you guys. So, all right. So right here, Ahmpy already got summoned. If you notice, it's pending. He's immediately putting his cursor at the very top, hitting the summon. He comes right back to the spot where he's tanking it at, and he's waiting. Chromag comes out, and he's going to hang a left and come and mess with Ahmpy. He's tanking him, and then he makes the call for everyone to come in. So all the melee comes into the backside, including some healers. We'll have us all assigned out, and then we're doing the fight. So if you notice, I'll just let it play. If you notice this right side, you can see the breaths coming, and you can see what the invuln is. So first breath is coming, 7 seconds. We don't know what breath it is yet. We still don't know. And right here. Oh, perfect. It's time lapse. So this is coming out any second now, and it's time lapse. So Ahmpy's saying, he's frantically saying, get out, get out, get out. Not ever. The whole range stack didn't get their threat half because you just don't have time to react yet. You don't know what's going to be, but that's why you have to stay below the off tank. So Windforce, he's now the new tank. He comes up, he brings it to the spot, and then Ahmpy is going to come out of this in a second, and then we'll go back to Ahmpy because I think it goes back to Ahmpy here. Yeah, Ahmpy gets his threat back. So now it's back on him. Windforce goes back. He did his job, and now we know that first breath is always time lapse. So it's always going to be time lapse. So the second breath, you'll for sure hide because time lapse has already been done. So you're going to get one. You're going to get a damage one. So it's coming out in 8, 7, 6. At this point, I'm telling you guys, get out, get out, get out. The window opens at 0. Normally it goes off right away. And incinerate. It happens. As soon as the animation goes off, you can now come back out. If you notice this mage right here, you'll watch it. As soon as you see the breath, he's already moving. The breath comes out, then you can come out. A lot of people think they have to wait for the animation to go away. So as soon as it starts. All right, you see the spell invuln? I gave you guys that weak aura so you can see this. You're just carrying on like normal. So this next breath is going to be a time lapse. So it's coming up in 5, 4. So everyone's staying out but the OT. So everybody's in range now. Let's see if he, sorry, staying in, I apologize. So they're all in line of sight. You see how they're not hugging the wall? And then Windforce grabs it and he pulls it right back. Easy as that. Now at 20%, or maybe it's not 20%, this looks really low. At some point,
10%.
10%, he goes into a frenzy. And I believe we need to be tranking this boss throughout. But this is when your tank is going to run cooldowns because this boss starts hitting like a freaking Mack truck. And so you want to make sure you're running cooldowns.
So, Bobby, can you like back up like a little bit on the thing? It's like
Tell me
one
when.
more.
Okay.
2 more. Okay, there. So, I know they're in better gear, and like Ahmpy's probably gonna have like more like mitigation and like max HP because he's got like Zanza from ZG. He's got ZG buff, everything. So right now, the boss isn't enraged. But people are still damaging, but breath has a 3-second cooldown on it. If we see a situation like this, I do think it's beneficial, especially for our first couple of clears, to do a damage stop. So the breath goes out before he gets enraged, just in case of like any mishaps or misunderstandings, and just so that everything goes dandy there. Because it is a time lapse, so it doesn't actually damage him, but if in like an incinerate goes out with an enrage, I do think it can be pretty deadly. So I think
one shot.
maybe like I'll play it like by ear, maybe just do a quick damage stop, let the breath go out, and then
You also really don't want the
meantime.
time lapse for Scad because then he's tanking it right where you want your main tank to tank it. So it would be better to do a damage stop and just hold for a second so we don't have to worry about that issue.
Yeah, just listen to the calls. We will call a damage stop most likely unless we get good RNG. Just listen to the calls. You got to stop your damage if we're saying that. It's for a reason. We don't want the damage to overlap. So I'm happy you brought that up. I forgot to mention that.
Also, DPS should hold cooldowns for the last 30-20%, not
Of
just
course.
the tanks.
Of course.
You should have a
you
time
want
to kill, and
you
should
want to
use
burn
the damage
this
stop.
at the end. The casters are a little different because you don't know which invuln it's going to be, and you want to milk your cooldowns during your invuln. But you melee boys, you are saving your cooldowns for the end. It's all about pumping at the end and killing this bitch as quickly as possible when he goes into his frenzy. We gotta kill him wicked quick in that last 10% because your main tank, he's getting trucked.
Just had a very quick point about the sand. First raid will maybe have 12 to 15. I don't know, on average. It's pretty scarce. Less than half the raid is going to have it. So tanks should have multiple just in case, and a couple of healers should have it as well, not just the tank. So
For
DPS
sure.
should not even aim to have it.
Yeah, we need to make sure we spread it on our 2 tanks and then our healers. And then DPS our next prio. And somehow they get lucky and grab a CTS in their first skill. Sons of
You
bitches.
moved that fast.
That's gonna be us.
Yoink. Yeah, anyway. So we'll most likely have to take a break between Chromag and Nefarian because we want the bronze debuff to take off. Is my guess, because I think it stays on you for 10 minutes. I forget. We'll see if he ever gets it. Regardless, then we'll end up doing Nefarian. So that is Chromag. So real quick, because I do have a hard stop time in about 10-12 minutes. So we're going to do Nef, then I probably won't be around for questions. So Nefarian, phase 1. So there's 2 phases. Phase 1, we're going to kill ads in 2 separate groups. We're going to stay in your group, don't inch forward, because we will be killing them close to each other. So Oscar, we're not going to do the hardcore elite strat. We talked last night more, and we felt that it's better to do it closer together. So we deal with one kill group in phase 3. And then there is a macro that Nera, you need to share with all of the melee boys so that I forget what the macro is. In fact, Nera, if you can
It's
just
a no
explain it.
raid macro. It's a no raid macro, so it doesn't target any friendlies. It won't help with your cleave and your whirl, but of course it will help with your BT and your heroic strikes. Yeah.
So you're not killing
My
your
AC
MC,
probably
homie.
has the macro actually.
Also,
Okay.
Trimmer Totem gets rid of the MC, so we should be dropping Trimmers because it gets rid of that MC completely.
And then there's also going to be another added layer here. I'm asking everyone to grab Magic Dust. And I'm going to link a macro before raid at some point this next week in the Discord. And as soon as the MC comes out, we're all spamming our Magic Dust so that we Magic Dust the person instantaneously. The mages will follow up with the sheep. You guys have your macros to not kill your homie. And then we dispel them as soon as we can. And that should be no smoke. That eliminates that issue because Nefarian will MC somebody at random. And it will happen, I think, like once or twice during phase 1. He also will be throwing out shadow bolts, and so there is some value in running a GSPP here. He'll target one person and chain throw shadow bolts into you, so you want to run a GSPP if that's you. And then as soon as DBM announces there's 3 ads remaining, that's roughly the point when Oscar and his assigned healers will peel off, and he will go pick up Nefarian. We will stay behind. We will kill the ads. Once the ads are finished, we will then go to the boss. So Nefarian, so Oscar will have a few seconds on Nefarian on his own without us there. That leads us into phase 2. So at this point, we have all gone over to Nefarian. Our Resto Druid and one Mage will be up close because they need to be in decurse range of the tank. So we'll figure out which Mage that's going to be, but it will for sure be the Resto Druid and whatever Mage. The tank will get decursed every so often, or he'll get cursed every so often, and we need to decurse it instantly. I forget what it does, but it's very bad. You want to get rid of it.
Healing reduction.
Very bad. So it needs to be an instant decurse. So those 2 people need to be instant on it. I cannot stress that enough. Otherwise, our tank will die. Once the and I'll go over class calls in a second. During this, there'll be class calls, and I'll go over them in a second. But once the boss hits 20%, at this point, the ads that we killed in the first phase will resurrect, and we need to kill them again. Oh, sorry, they'll resurrect as risen constructs, like you see in like Skolo, I believe. And they'll all come at us at once. So there'll be like 50 ads that will run at us. We're gonna have one warrior that's assigned to AoE lip shout, and he's gonna grab them all in one go because that's why we're stacking them together. And then we'll have the kill group all assigned, so it'll be like all the ranged and like maybe some like melee boys that will come in, and we all then follow up with Stapper, Holy Water, any AoE, and we're killing all of those ads in 2 to 3 globals. And you all lip. Everybody lips. So then we go back to boss and we kill. But during that time, there are class calls. And every class has its call. And we're going to go over them. So warriors, your class call is the tank goes Berserker. So this only affects Oscar. When Oscar goes Berserker, he's getting hit. I think it's 20% more. Correct me if I'm wrong, Oscar. But I believe it's 20% more damage. And so we need to make sure we're nuking Oscar with heals. He cannot die. When it's the rogue class call, the rogues get teleported in front of the boss and they're CC'd. They can't move. It sounds like maybe there's some tech to get out of it that Nair was talking about last night. He can go over that with you guys. But Oscar then needs to turn the boss 180 degrees so that the rogue homies don't get, deadage. If it's the priest call, they have to stop healing everybody. They can only throw out shields. Their heals will give the person, I think it's like a stacking debuff, and you'll just kill them from your heals. So all the priests have to stop healing. I cannot stress this enough. You will kill your tank.
Is it
Druid?
only priests that stop healing there?
That is correct, because it's the priest call. Yes, you're assigned to your
It only
own.
calls one class at a time.
Yes, it only calls one class at a time. So if it's the priest call, this is the one we want to avoid. This, in my opinion, is probably the worst. Other than mage. Mage is probably by far the worst.
Yeah.
That
and
will
with
wipe a
the
raid.
With the priest call, so before the call goes out, like we will know like a few seconds before, like stop healing Oscar. Like if you're assigned to heal Oscar, like a few seconds, like you have to get off of him, so that heal, like let's say the call goes out, but you already casted your heal, like it could still like affect him, and you might not notice. So you have to stop like a few seconds before the call goes out. That's why
Yes.
we'll also have shamans assigned to him. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll talk about this more in the meeting, but yeah.
You'll have a lot of shamans on him because and the druid because well, he's really the only one taking damage anyway. There'll be a little bit of raid healing on some of these class calls, but we want to make sure that we're keeping Oscar afloat. Druid, when it's a druid class call, this is an awesome one because all they can do is just not decurse. So it's the one we want to see. And then that just means the mage that's up close has to be instant with the decurse. The shaman call, we want to avoid this one as well because we have a million shamans in our group and they all spawn a bunch of totems. You like buff the boss, it's awful. So all of our melee, well, pretty much all of our melee will then come off the boss. I'll have it assigned. It's either going to be all or most, and they will come off the boss and delete all the totems. Warlocks, you summon infernals. This is also one that's great because we only will run 2 warlocks, so you only have I think 4 infernos. I think you guys both spawn 2. We'll just the Browns will all just pick one up and we'll all nuke them together, ranged included. If the mage class call happens, this is the worst one in my opinion. The priest and the mage are by far the worst. And then it's shaman and then maybe warrior. But the mages have to go to Narnia. So what do I mean by that? Let me pull it up because there's a really good POV. I wish I would have screenshotted this from when Ahmpy starts tanking the boss. All right, so right here, he's gonna pick this bitch up, and then right here. So you see Square and Nipple. They're all the way back at this hallway. This is where the ads come out of one of the hallways. Us mages and all the rest of the crew is going to be right up to the left here where my cursor is. Well, when it's mage call, we're blinking and we're getting all the way to that hallway. We go probably 100 yards. It's crazy. We go into the hallway. You'll stack on me, and we're LOSing the whole raid. We go like 100 yards. We go into there. We stack on each other, and we're going to spam polymorph each other. This is what's going to happen. And then as soon as our class call is over, we will then break LOS and come back. So during that run out, we can polymorph anyone that's within line of sight, including the tank. And if we polymorph the tank, Nefarian's not going to keep hitting him. He's going to go to second on threat. And then if he cleaves and like does his breath, that's how you wipe a raid. So there needs to be an instant dispel on the tank specifically. The rest of the people can get dispelled pretty quickly, but the tank has to be instant. So something to bring up in your healing meeting as well. But yeah, otherwise, we pretty much have covered everything. Nefarian's honestly pretty easy, depending on which class calls you get. Depending on the class calls, it can make it a little spicy. Priest, if you get class call, you don't kill your tank. Hunters, if you get class call, your bow breaks, bring a second one. It's very important. Or 300 IQ, take your bow off right before the class call. Class call comes out, then put your bow back on. Mages, we go to Narnia. Shamans, the totems spawn. The melee will plumb off the boss and kill him. Warlocks, your infernos will spawn. 4 of them. The melee will come off the boss and kill him, including the ranged. Priests, you stop healing the tank. Well, you stop healing everyone. Shamans and the druid will heal the tank. If the druid one comes out, he just can't decurse. So the mage that's assigned to the decurse has to decurse the tank. Rogue class call, Oscar has to swap the boss 180 degrees. Pretty straightforward. And then if the warrior class call happens, you just need to all bomb the tank with heals because Oscar's going to get hit like a Mack truck. That concludes our conversation. I have a few minutes to take some questions if anyone has anything, but I have to run after this. So I'll open it up to discussion. I'm sure there's a lot more people in here that have probably done BWL even more than me that can also field questions when I leave. So
I just want to add a side note to Neff. There's gonna be like fears going out through the fight, so we're gonna need tremors down, and also like Ahmpy's doing right here, like he's gonna be putting a shield on sometimes. So, and I don't think I can Death Wish this fight, mainly because of, I guess, like the damage increase I take. So, like you see, like Ahmpy is just like sitting there with a shield on. So like threat is going to be important there too. I might have to yeah, like see he gets like a warrior class call, he's in Zerker, just sitting there with a shield. And but
Yeah, if you think you're gonna Deathwish Oscar, you'd only really do it off the bat. If you don't do it off the bat, you're kind of screwed because if you get a class call during a Deathwish, you're fucked.
Yeah, yeah. So like
You
for
just don't
fears,
Deathwish,
like
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so for fears, like I mean, like I'm gonna have to maybe like stand Zerker it. I mean, I know Charmer's not reliable, but there are gonna be
Currently.
fears. And I don't feel I should Deathwish, mainly because like Ahmpy literally just does not
Mhm.
Deathwish and he's camping a shield most of the fight because of the damage he can take.
Mhm.
So we have to watch threat. The boss could turn if I get feared with while Zerker's on CD. I don't think that will happen because I think I'll have it for every fear. But yeah, just I'm gonna have to camp a shield sometimes, especially before some class calls, and I can't
Yeah, to watch
Deathwish.
your
So
threat for sure.
Yeah, I'm
We
really happy you
also
brought that up. I didn't even think about the fear thing. It wasn't even in my notes, so
we
great call
also
out.
need to focus the totems. You brought that up, but the Wind Fury and the Flame Tongue both buff Neff. He gets Wind Fury, so we have to take those totems down quick, or Oscar can die very easily.
The totems. Somebody said he can drop Fire Nova totems.
Yes, he could drop Fire Nova,
Those-
Flame Tongue, Wind Fury, Strength of Earth. He can drop pretty much anything. And he drops 4 for each shaman from what I looked up.
And so there's gonna be a
So-
ton of totems. So all of our
Yeah,
melee are gonna
so
come off.
24 totems, yeah.
So Fire Nova totems, unless it's adjusted for Nefarian, they'll go off in like 3 seconds. And if we have a bunch of Fire Novas go off, like say we have like 2 or 3 near each other, for example, if all the do they just drop them around where the shamans are
Where
at?
the
Is that
shaman
how it
is,
works?
yep. Yep.
Okay, so we should probably spread out the shamans, I assume, because if you don't, if you get like 4 Fire Nova totems on top of somebody,
You're
for
dead.
example, you're just dead.
Yep.
I don't think you can kill them in time if it's actually going off in 3 seconds.
Yeah, they definitely got to watch where they are and not
But
be
you
stacked
guys
up.
will just need to loosely spread is all. That's how do you counter that. So just loosely
Yeah,
spread. You have a lot of
yeah.
real estate to work with. So just make sure your totems are dropped in range and then you can loosely spread. That's
Okay,
pretty
alright.
straightforward.
I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure there wasn't like a specific
For
like,
sure.
stack mechanic
Yeah.
we needed for range.
It will
or
be
whatever.
really easy.
No, just don't be in front of Neff. That's the only thing with it. There's no
Yep.
stack mechanic or anything.
Okay, sweet.
Any other questions before I dip? I'm sure the rest of the boys can answer questions. But
Not
any other
exactly a
questions?
question, but could you drop those weak auras in the Discord?
Yes, I'll get that done tomorrow. Maybe yeah, I guess I'll get it done tomorrow and I'll at you guys.
Did you
Yeah,
want to ask the
well,
boys
the
if we
links were
wanted
not
to
working
do it
for me.
Thursday, Wednesday, if we wanted to split it, how you want to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Before
One
you
Paul, you in here? Speak up, One Paul. Or message me.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, can you make Thursday your tentative? Next Thursday.
I can I let you know tomorrow?
Yeah, you need to let me know ASAP. You're the deciding factor. If you can make it, then we're going. And if you can't make it, then we probably need to wait. And even if you can't make it, we still might go because we have the option for Heals and Peels to come on Doofus. So we probably still will go. Just we're 95% chance we're going Thursday. I will be really sad if we don't go on Thursday and have to wait the weekend till Monday. So I'll put up a poll tomorrow as well because either we're gonna do MC on our normal scheduled day, MC and Oni, which I preferably would like to on that Wednesday, and then you guys have 24 hours to buff. I know that sucks, but there's some advantage to getting another MC lockout in for that much more loot to be on people, that much more of a buffer, and so I would like to do that. If enough people say, "Hey, this is just too much. I just don't have time to rebuff," so be it. We can try to tee up a Ren drop from our guild. We have plenty of hedge drops we can drop. DM buffs, they're pretty easy. We can go slam a DM instance like multiple. Like that's pretty easy. SF, Songflower, pretty easy. So in my opinion, like we should be able to make that happen. We could even push raid time back on Thursday if needed. Like, because BWL is a short raid. We're only going to be in there for our first run, probably an hour and a half. I don't think we'll be in there much longer than an hour and a half for our first run. And that time is going to get trimmed way down as we do this more.
Hey, Bobby, I kind of have something like really important. I know you kind of talked about with the strat on Neff. I really just want to share my screen here in the Discord so you can either go to my stream or look on my Discord right now. I really just want to show you guys like actually no, I actually can't stream on Discord for some reason. Or actually yes I can. Okay. So can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we killed
What
him.
a great clip.
Yep, I
Great
remember
clip.
this.
This
I was
is us.
there.
Okay. Yeah, but the reason why like I want to not have the things in the middle is because this can happen, and like this is just very unavoidable. And I feel like there's
it's
no
totally
reason like
avoidable. It was totally avoidable. The person just didn't need to hit him. Like Master goes over there and punches him in the face, and then
Yeah,
Matt goes
and
over
Mac
punches
literally
him,
hits him.
and then Matt gets killed for it.
well, no, but he gets MC'd, and then he
Right.
just
Yeah,
kills
but
him.
he hit
Yeah,
him.
Mac attacked him, and that's why
Mac auto-
Master attacked. Yeah.
Yeah, Mac goes
Yeah.
up in autos, and we deep dive this when it happens.
He was also blinded at the time, and then he still attacks him.
Yeah, so yeah, what happened was Master gets blinded, then Mac auto attacks him, and then Master turns and fucking kills Mac like that. So if Mac doesn't hit him, he never dies.
Yeah, it's 100% Mac's fault.
Mac used to have a.
I see you have the
He
macro
deep
for
dove the log for that
the
one,
no
yeah.
raid attack because I actually never used it because I have
Yeah, I do.
control, but was it no raid or no party or something? It's basically an affix that basically keeps you from attacking party members.
It works for your BT and your Horse Strike. Of course, your Whirl and your Cleave are gonna hit multi-target if you fucking press them. Just be
All right.
smarter than that. Also, Tremor does break MC. That's another big factor on the Horde.
I gotta
we have
run.
someone soak
We
it?
will combat that with Magic Dust into a poly, and you guys can't attack the MC target. It's very straightforward. And then you guys will also, you guys will also use the macro that Icy has, so you don't go and give him a nice hug, because if you do that, you will die. Like at the end of the day, we can't play your champs for you. And yes, that is the downside of doing this strat, but it helps us in phase 3. And in my opinion, in my opinion, as long as people have self-control, it's a fine strat. That being said, I got a dip. I have a hard stop time. So again, if you have questions, everyone can answer for you. I'll post the week hours tomorrow. I'll get the poll up tomorrow about whether we want to do MC and Ani before on Wednesday. We're pretty much for sure sending it Thursday. I want to get the roster put together sooner rather than later. I did not have time with all this prep for BWL to get the MC roster done tonight. So if an officer wants to do that, that'd be great, and I can look it over. Otherwise, I'll do it tomorrow morning. I will talk to you all later.
Our raid 2 tomorrow or next week?
That will be discussed. We're not canceling it. They're going to get pushed to a different day. We're not canceling a raid, so they will get the raid still. Yeah. All right, I gotta run. See you guys.
Thanks for the info.
Later.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting us drunk, Bobby.
Yeah,
Yo, I'm gonna drop.